Hey guys, welcome back to Mango Invest. We're going to total up all the dividends that we've earned throughout the whole time investing and broken up into yearly amounts. But as you can see with the portfolio today, we're looking at $631,000 of total equity. Just in the day alone, we're up $8,000 thanks to Alibaba. I think they were up 10% this morning. And then in total, we've got $41,000 of total profit. Sitting in the cash position, we've got $1,936. We'll just have a bit of a different look at the overview. You can see how the portfolio is broken up. So overall, taking into consideration the cash, we've got $633,000 of equity, $13,000 in the Australian side of things, $617,000 in the US market, and just a couple of different cash positions in the Australian and the US side. But we'll have a look at the Excel spreadsheet. This is where I track all the dividends. And we're going to sort of break down in every single year how much we've earned. So you can see here we started in the month of August of 2019, and in this month alone we only got like $49 in dividends. But we'll just total all this up all the way up until December of 2019, and you can see on the bottom right hand side of your screen there we got $926 just in that year alone. Before this I was getting just basic bank interest. It was only something of like 4 to 5%, something really low. That's why I switched to dividends and trying to get a little bit more capital gains and things like that. Took a bit of a risk, but it's all been worth it in the end. So yeah, not a lot of money in the first like half year, but then 2020 is when we started the first full year of investing. So we'll go all the way up until December of 2020. And then on the bottom right here, you can see it totaled up to $3,699. I was still earning a lot more in bank interest with the amount of money that I had in there, but this was the first full year where I'm starting to deposit more and more money from my personal bank account into Stake, like the investing brokerage app that I use. So yeah, so $3,699 in 2020, still fairly low. But yeah, obviously a big increase from the previous year. We'll have a look at 2021, December all the way to January all the way to December, and then as you can see there, like a little bit of an increase there, not too much. It was like about $2,000 increase, so 5,344. You can see September was one of the bigger months. I did hold BHB in that. In this year here, so they paid every 6 months. So they paid like September and I think in March or whatever. But yeah, not too bad of a year. Still fairly low. And again, at this stage, I was still aggressively depositing more and more money into the stock market. We'll have a look at January of 2022. And then we got a little bit more, so $2,500 more. 7,823 in total for that year. And then you can see in March and September, that was the two BHB payments there. So a large mining company, they only paid twice a year, but the dividend was extremely high. So that's why I invested in that company there. But yeah, again, like I said, like not much of a big increase there, but we're slowly grinding it out. Now, 2023, this is where it sort of started to get pretty serious. Obviously, I started to invest in higher paying dividend companies and putting a lot more money in there. So we'll just go see what the total is here from January to December, and we got $11,790. So pretty happy with that one. Something we've got to take into consideration here is that this is US currency as well. So I'm from Australia, and $11,000 is like probably worth like $16,000, $17,000 Australian. This is obviously before taxes and fees and all the rest of it as well. So we have to take that into consideration. But not a bad year for 2023. 2024, we'll have a look at that one. We'll see where we end up. We got $25,429. You can see like a pattern emerging in the back end of 2024. This is where we've started to take a little bit more, like as well as investing more and more money, like we've taken like a little bit more of a risk as well. We've started to dive into the yield max ETFs, which lately haven't proven to be all that effective, but yeah, you can see like in October, November, December, we're starting to reach, you know, $3,000 and $4,000 as opposed to just the $1,000 mark. But like a pretty damn good year there. So 25,429 for 2024, and 2025 has been by far my biggest year by a long shot. We've doubled the amount of dividends. Just in December alone, you can see there we've got 4,523. But yeah, so the total sum was $53,359 in US currency as well. So, you know, I think we're looking at like $80,000 Australian, somewhere along the lines of that one. But again, this is largely to the yield max ETFs. As you can see on the back end of the year, well, let's start out with the first couple of months. You can see that we've got over $5,000 here, consistently in the $4,000 range. And then in July, we've had our biggest month in dividend history so far of, you know, just over $6,000. And it's all looking pretty well. And then we've started to drop, you know, you've got like 3,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000. So not too bad. And that's because the yield max ETFs just simply haven't been performing. It's just lucky that I didn't really overcommit, like they were a very small portion of the dividend portfolio. But even till this day, like looking back on it now, I probably wouldn't have put as much money into the yield max. If you just go research them, they just haven't been performing, you know, for the last sort of like 2 to 3 months, and it's just been pretty annoying, to be honest. That money would have best been served in, you know, like an ETF like SCHD and JEPQ, and, you know, keeping some of the big tech portfolio names like Apple and Microsoft and things like that. But overall, like taking that into consideration, still a pretty good year, $53,000, and only in December we got 4,523, which I'm pretty happy with. And I'm just thinking for 2026, I think we're going to have quite a smaller year, given that the yield max ETFs aren't really performing that well. I don't think that we're going to see somewhere along the lines of $53,000. I reckon the target goal is we're looking at $40,000 for 2026. But subscribe to the channel and yeah, just keep watching and you'll see that. But we're going to total up every single dividend since we've been investing since 2019 all the way up until the start of 2026. We've got $108,372 in US currency as well. So around that $160,000 mark in Australian currency there since, and that's 5-6 years of investing, just constant compounding, constant depositing into this stake account, and just doing a couple of dividend stocks, a few tech stocks. A lot of the money that you really can't see in this account here is all the buys and sells and all the profits that I've made with the big tech companies. Like I've bought and sold Tesla a few times. I've got, you know, tens of thousands of dollars in profit, which has all, you know, totaled this total being 633. So it hasn't all been just deposits of my own money, and it hasn't all just been dividends. A lot of it has, you know, I've sold Apple and Microsoft a lot of the time, you know, Tesla, and I think altogether I've made over like $100,000 of capital gains. So it's been pretty good there. But yeah, I'll leave it there. That's all the money that I've earned, you know, every single year, but also the 5 to 6 years that I've been investing as well. If you did like the video, give me a like and subscribe to the channel, and you can follow along for the dividend investing journey. The goal is to get to the portfolio to $1 million. So obviously every like and subscribe helps you out with that journey. Put your questions and comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But I'll leave it there, and I'll catch you in the next one.